Please. Thank you. Don't give me that look.
You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good morning. Take two on welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry, and joining me this morning, Rafa. How are you?
Pretty good. Good morning, everyone.
Robert, how was the bunker last night?
It was pretty good. There was a decent turnout considering oyster bacon and a few other things going on, but it was pretty solid. Like I said, you can tell by my voice that we had a good time. We always have a good time.
Royce, how are you?
Recovering. As I was saying, my voice is at a very low bass, so everybody's headphones are going to rattle from this one. But yesterday, Rex had a t-ball game, then we went to the match, and then today we have another t-ball game. And as you can hear in the background, he's fine. My wife and I are struggling, so good time.
That's why I got my coffee in my San Antonio mug this morning.
Nice.
To get through it here. So we're going to kind of give a little bit of order to the show here. So we'll go around, do initial thoughts on the night, anything that your initial thoughts were. We'll touch about the injuries going in, and then we'll, unfortunately they picked up a couple of more. Talk about the lineup. We'll talk about the game. We'll use the USL Championship, USL Championships highlights on YouTube here. So thank you to that and San Antonio FC communications team, for that as well. And then we'll talk a little bit World Cup as far as the draw where U.S. did qualify, Mexico qualified, and we know who we're playing, sort of. For that here. So initial thoughts, I will start out, and then whoever wants to pick up second. To me, even though it was a loss, I thought the team they didn't perform great, but I thought they performed well for what they're dealing with. A very shorthanded club right now due to injuries along those lines here. I thought that they fought very hard. Just the depth of Phoenix, and Phoenix is an elite, talented team. There's no question about that. For that here. So while I was unhappy with the result, you can't fault the effort. That the 13, 14 guys that played on the pitch last night put out. So well done to them. Like I said here, So even though when we get into the discussion later on, obviously it won't be as positive just because it is a loss. It's more directed to me. My complaints are going to be more directed at the upper management on how this team was brought together for that here. And I know Royce is going to, come back at me on that. You can't account for the injuries that we've got. So, but I already know that's coming, but that's my initial thoughts. Rafa, what's your initial thoughts? I see sign more players, so it seems like you're on that same train as well.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna question the effort for the guys that did great. I mean, they did what they had to do, whatever they had on the field. Eventually something was gonna crack. And had we able to hold on, to me for a tie that would have been a win for us. But
Yeah, for sure.
I think in the upper management really kind of needs to look at the mirror and say, how did we get ourselves into this situation? I know injuries happen, but it shouldn't be as this bad. last year we kind of had the similar situation, but it wasn't that bad because our bench actually carried us. This year it's a little bit different. So what are they going to do to fix it? Especially this week, like I said, you got 2 games this week coming up. I know we'll probably have some academy players play on Tuesday. That's fine, but we can't be throwing academy players into the fire against a team like Phoenix or Louisville or
and I'd question academy players going against defeaters as well, just for the fact that I watched that match. They are a quality, experienced team for that level. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So
Robert?
Yeah, just echoing the theme. I mean, it was a disappointing loss, but there were some positives out of it. I mean, I felt that Jordan played really well. He had a solid game. He kept us in it towards the end. It just seemed like the Phoenix was the more potent of the two. They had the offensive firepower. They were putting more pressure on us consistently. And then Laredo going down, it almost seemed like there's even more of a dip in terms of any type of offensive effectiveness.
The creativity, yeah.
I mean, it seemed like it's just one more thing to the point where that young kid came in. You're gonna have to help me with pronouncing his last name, but he did pretty well. I mean, he did as much as he could. He put in effort. Like you said, it was a gutsy performance. We held him there towards the end, and they didn't really put it away until late in the game, late in the overtime with some guy. I don't know his name. He scored at the end. I'm not sure. I forgot his name. Yeah, no, that's it.
Didn't he play here? I remember back in the day.
Ever heard of it?
He looked familiar. The number looked familiar. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was cool to see Epps back, man. Not in that capacity, but it was cool to see him back, obviously, and to see. I mean, that was one of those players last year that. I mean, as I had explained that, we had Nathan that nobody ever heard of and who's this guy. We had Epps that we got from the Seattle system that nobody else really picked up on. It's cool to see those guys that we gave a chance, we built up, and see them succeed, even though it's against us. It kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's cool to see that. The match... the formation works. We were the better team until the injuries started happening, until our guys got elbowed to no call and to just unfortunate injuries with Loera. I think he went out with just with the leg, hopefully a leg strain. But that's just one of those things that's going to happen, and that's why depth is so important in this league, especially now that we're playing 34 matches. Depth is huge, and it seems like SAFC, like the FO, kind of put their money on a couple quality players instead of a bunch of dare I say fringe players or projects this year.
I actually disagree with you.
I don't know if it's it and at the same time, the injury bug, it's one of those things that SAFC has had that experience last season. They're experiencing very heavily this season again. And it's one of those bad luck things. You can never, some teams stay healthy through the entire season miraculously. Some teams are hurt the entire season, and that's SAFC is hurt the entire season. I mean, I would dare say the player we're probably paying the most is out until July. The player that we're probably paying the second most just retired all of a sudden. There's things that
you can't control. Yeah.
You can't control. Crap happens. Your best striker was hurt. Your second best striker is hurt. There's no outlet for the offense. We'll get through it, but it's unfortunate. But at the same time, the team still looked good, and for large portions of that match, they were the better team on the field against the top Phoenix team. So even though Phoenix didn't necessarily start their starters, Santi Moore came in late, Epps came in late, but the team and the formation works. They just need an outlet, and they had no outlet yesterday. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Good morning, Robert, and I hope you're enjoying Modesto as best as you can for that here. Rafa, do you want to plug the 50/50 podcast tonight? Since I know you're going to be on it, I believe you said 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll be on 8 o'clock tonight. We're going to do our little state roundup with the playoffs. We're going to have a couple surprise guests. So tune in. Like I said, it should be a great show. Let's look at some of the Cinderellas because we got a couple Cinderellas in some regions like Burnett, Mejia. We'll get into the nice little checkerboard jerseys that they have.
So, CJ, is Phoenix that good or is San Antonio that bad? I think Phoenix is good. San Antonio is not that bad. And I think last night, my concern going in was Phoenix had to have that game last night. Just from a morale perspective, they had lost 2 in a row. They got basically how we're talking about this week. That's what happened to them against San Diego Loyal last week in Phoenix. A lot of questions, a lot of through there. Now they don't have a lot of the injury concerns where we have. It's just, yeah, and I think that's why you saw the rotation in the lineup was to wake people up, per se. Why did Bonilla retire? Nobody knows. It had to be something that happened back in Colombia where he's from. So it's probably a family issue. Hopefully nothing serious or anything along those lines. But for him to basically come in probably, Sunday, Monday morning, say, hey, I've got to get back home. I'm going to retire. And he's already gone from San Antonio and he's already back in Colombia. So that tells me.
That's correct. Yeah, I did see that he posted in Miami yesterday, and now, yeah, he's back in Colombia. Something definitely had to happen personally, which, I mean, we hope nothing but the best for Christian. But yeah, it sucks. It's a bad situation, and it's nothing you can control. For him, not to just ask, hey, I need to go take care of some stuff. He could have, SAFC has a or
goalkeeper
Spurs Sports Entertainment has a history of letting guys take extended leave of absences, just if he needed to take care of something temporary. But for him to just outright retire and okay, I'm done, I got to go take care of crap, something happens. So
yeah,
you hope only the best, and you hope that situation is the outcome of that situation is the best possible outcome for him and his family.
And then how did Epps end up in Phoenix? He was a free agent. Phoenix offered him most likely a better contract than San Antonio FC did.
Phoenix has a history of money whipping our players that are successful this season before. Billy Forbes, Darnell King, who's still there, who they're still paying a lot for. Devin Vega, Epps, obviously. A long list of players that have been successful with us, they have thrown money at. And
I think they're aggressive too.
They are.
They jump out the gate and offer contracts before anyone else.
For sure. And big contracts, bigger than anybody's gonna pay in this league. And that's just what they do.
I'll push back on that a little bit. I don't think they are the highest paying team, but yeah, they do put out some nice contracts out there. As far as Epps though, part of the reason you mentioned why he was in for 10 minutes is because in his first 3 games he hadn't even registered a shot on goal yet. So, it's one of those good and bad. For that here, it seems like when Phoenix players play San Antonio, Vega did it, Forbes did it, Epps did it, Jason Johnson did it. I think the only one that hasn't is Darnell King. When they play San Antonio FC, they typically get on the board. But for Epps, for him personally, hopefully this is what gets him going and gets him turned around. As a fan of SAFC, it sucks that it happened against us.
That's correct.
For him personally, like I said here, nothing for the best. For Epps going forward here. So let's talk injuries.
Oof.
And yeah, it's an ugly picture. This is what the going in. Patino's still out. Mane's still out, which we know he's going to be out for a while. The two that you thought there's one that you thought would be back, PC. Abu did come back. I thought PC would also be coming back, but he's still out. And I think the shocker this week was Dylan. After his performance last week against RGV, I don't think anybody saw, saw him being out. Also this week, who went out? Hold on here. Let me get to that window. Let's see. Diouf went out 19th minute in what looked to be a serious injury. I haven't watched the replay of the game or anything along those lines, but when I was watching it, just on how he walked off, where he was covering his face, it seemed like a little bit more serious. Pardon me?
I wonder if he broke his nose.
Yeah, Juve took an elbow to the face completely uncalled, which is again, we had numerous fouls that were uncalled that were easy yellow cards, if not more. That one was a flying elbow to the nose. No call, not even a foul. The ref looked back and like, oh, look, that guy's down. It's like, what are you doing? And then right in front of the linesman, Traore got pushed into the boards.
Yeah, just crazy.
No call. And the ref had to look back and looked at the linesman like, what happened? The linesman's like, It's like, oh, good. I'm glad you're doing your job. That's awesome.
Yep,
so
that was a factor, Aaron, because any call he made, it just kind of killed our momentum.
Yeah.
And he was just not – I think he was – because this was such a big game, I think he felt until I need to take control of this game, and he didn't have to. He should have let us – I mean, he could have monitored, done a better job, but this was probably one of the worst officiating.
It was inconsistent because he wanted to control the tiki-tack fouls, but whenever a big foul happened, he just let it go. Like, it should be the opposite. The tiki-tack stuff, let them play, but when stuff happens where players are going to get injured, like a flying elbow to the face that breaks a dude's – will hurt something on his face where he has to come out of the match, you call that. Instead of letting it go.
That's where you step in for player safety. Yeah.
What's crazy is there were only 2 yellow cards: King in the 14th minute and Traore in the 19th minute. The rest of the match, there were no yellow cards, and San Antonio had 13 fouls. Rising had 14 fouls.
Traore's yellow card was going in late for the dude that threw the flying elbow that hurt Juve, and that's the reason that he got that yellow. Hey, the ref's not going to call it. I'm going to go take my own justice. I'm going to take a bite out of your leg, and went in late and took the dude out. So if the ref calls it right, if the ref calls it right, that yellow doesn't happen. So
sorry, my cat wanted some attention. Injury wise, I don't know what else we can say. It's a common theme with San Antonio.
Yeah.
To me, the surprise was Dylan, because he put in such a great effort.
I was going to say, did you see how tired he was in the post game? That's why he's out. I'm not sure if it's legitimate injury. I think it's just, dude, you wore yourself into the ground. We got it this week. Yeah, he was absolutely he was falling asleep post game. Looked like before showers. So he ran himself into the ground. And that's why last week we were in such praise of him. Is that win is that those 3 points are his 3 points. Just how much he worked was insane last week, for sure.
Here's my issue with that, though, is after the RGV match, and I have a theory on why we're struggling with the depth. Is San Antonio's used to getting 5 or 6 MLS loans. So I don't think that's, either San Antonio FC upper management didn't see the writing that was on the wall, with MLS and the USL relationship, with MLS Next Pro, or something's changed with the relationship between San Antonio FC and MLS as far as being an option for, to be able to loan clubs too, or pardon me, to have players come too. So, because if you add those, 4 to 6 MLS loans, our roster is pretty full, and we have that depth. That's what's missing this year compared to the previous years, is we don't have those MLS players on loan. And I was talking with somebody online here. They're, on Nathan, hey, go get Nathan. Problem is if you try to go get Nathan, even if you can, you're still talking about weeks just because of the visa issues. It's not a quick, unless they're already working on it. It's not something you're going to just be able to, hey, pick up the phone. Hey, can Nathan come back? Sure. And he's here tomorrow. That's that's not how it's going to work, unfortunately. So
I think that's part of it too. Like you said, the international loans too are lacking. Typically we'd have 3 or 4 of those too, even, before the season starts. Like you talk players we had never heard of, and promising young stars in South America, especially. I've done a lot of those activities like previous years.
Look at the case with Kamiri. Took him a while to get signed and over here.
So looking at the lineup, really, there's not a lot of options. Beckford, Collier up top. I think Royce, you had David and Beckford switched. Maloney on the outside, although he did switch inside quite a bit. Diaf, Abu, Traore, Tanner, Garcia, Manley, and Jordan. Obviously between the pipes here. Any surprises? We'll start with you, Robert, on the lineup.
I mean, with the limited options, there was really, that was the only play you could do, and just kind of hope that one of the strikers had like a magic moment. But like I said, until the forwards get healthy, you just have only so many things you can do. You and Roy said earlier, the first, second, and now even the third strikers injured. So like, what are you gonna do? You need the actual personnel. But the lineup is what you would thought it would be.
Any thoughts on the lineup there, Rafa, before we get to Royce?
It was pretty much spot on what we have available. You're gonna plug in where you think's best for the team and where they can generate success. But like I mentioned, once we got those injuries, it basically kind of fell apart. You're trying to kind of put a Band-Aid on it, but it just wouldn't work. Maybe they could have, changed it, maybe the tactics a little bit, but I think the bottom line is just not having someone up front that can go out and get the ball like Dylan or Patino. It just killed us. And Lorero's really, I guess he's becoming the real important. He's like our playmaker that really kind of drives our attack. And then that was a big loss. And that's why I ended up playing kind of on our third of the field the rest of the game.
And Royce, before you start here, to answer your question, is the upper management of SSC soccer people or sportocrats? Probably a mixture of both. You got Tim Holt, who was the commissioner of USL previously, so he is a soccer guy. So SSE, even though we criticize them, quite a bit here, they do have people in the right spot, and it's just, and I think that's why we kind of question why we may come a little bit hard against upper management, just for the fact that we know that they are soccer people, and through that here. And I do want to thank Tim Holt for coming out to the tailgate, the Crocketeers tailgate, 210 Alliance tailgate. Yeah, yesterday it was awesome to meet and shake his hand and say hello to him. So Tim, don't take it personal, but you got some work to do, my friend. Royce, your thoughts on the lineup?
All right, buckle up. Here we go. No, I'm joking.
He's like all academy kids.
To be fair to Tim, I think he put together a really good team. It's just your attacking talent is on the injured list. And no, that's not disparaging Beckford, Loer, or Collier, but I don't think they play well together because they fulfill almost the same role, all three of them. There's no real diversity there. Collier continuously kept coming back into the midfield like a false nine when we needed a striker to provide a tall target to get a good outlet to let Beckford or Loera run on him. And that was a big problem with that was a big problem with the match was that we didn't have any targets. We kept having guys drop back and then try to dribble out, and we would just dribble out right into the Phoenix defense. We didn't have somebody occupying that striker, and that's really what we needed. So from the beginning, the lineup was a little flawed as far as the offense goes. at the same time, we still created some decent chances in the very beginning of the match until Juve went out. The big problem with Juve going out, so why Juve started in the middle instead of Maloney, who started as a central midfielder against RGV, was Juve kind of provides a little bit of he can dribble forward. He provides a little bit of offense. And Maloney and Abu, they kind of stay back and they're more defenders, and they'll distribute when they need to. So when Juve went out and you had to have Maloney come in, then your midfield is stationary, and your midfield is stationary in front of your back three. And then you have your offense kind of disconnected. And that's why the players had to continually come back and try to get the ball from them. But also there was no link. There was nobody up there. You needed Collier to stay up there to occupy the center backs. And that's kind of what Loera was doing, is he was up front and he was kind of playing as a striker, a short striker, but still a striker. And you had Collier and Beckford come back for the ball and go out. When Loera went out, because he did so much running between the midfield and the back line, and he kept getting fouled and kicked as per usual. You just kind of lost it. You lost all targeting abilities. You brought in the academy kid, and it was kind of unfair for Heinrich, I will say, for this to be his first match, because A, it's a top USL team. B, you're chasing a goal as is. And C, he never really got into the rhythm of the match. It's tough to get that rhythm whenever it's your very first match. And he kind of had a quicksand game where he had a bad touch, he had a handball. It just kind of didn't go right for him. Toward the end of the match, he started kind of getting in it. He had a couple shots that didn't really turn out too well, but he at least got those shots. He made himself space. He created some space and got himself opportunities, but it was a rough match. As far as the back line and the midfield is concerned, that was about as good as you can get. The wingers, same thing. It's about as good as you can get. There's just no outlet up front to help them out, and so they were constantly under pressure. And that's why that Epps goal happened. Honestly, that's why both goals happened, was because the center backs were so spent they couldn't quite cover their defensive responsibilities, because they kept having to go out and helping the wingers. As the wingers went up and they tried to create offense, they were just running all over the place. So that Epps goal happens because Taintor has to come back and chase Epps, who's not slow. He cramps up as he tries to kick the ball out of bounds. It doesn't quite get out of bounds. Epps brings it and shoots near post.
We're going to get into that, because
so
looking at the video, and this is going to go for.
Does it look like it goes out of bounds?
Yeah, and
yeah, no big surprise there, because that linesman was trash on that side.
Right, but you even mentioned this in the game. You play until you hear the whistle.
That's true.
Occasions.
That's
and
true.
On both of the goals, and we're going to get to it here momentarily, San Antonio defense was a step behind. Now, could that be part of it with the lack of rotation along those lines?
I don't think it's a lack of.
I
don't think it's a lack of rotation. I think it's just they were spent after this match. They worked so hard and had no outlet. They did not get a break through this. They cleared the ball. Boom, Phoenix got it right back, and they'd come right back. They'd clear the ball. Phoenix got it. They'd come right back. That was a problem. And that's a big problem that Marcina needs to sort out. The team needs to sort out. Everybody needs to sort out is, where is this outlet coming from? You can't continually have Collier come back into the midfield, and you have to have him as an outlet. He's 6'4". He was taller by 2 inches than everybody on the pitch, and you had him dribble the ball and have them play at feet instead of go after headers.
Yeah.
That's
high press with the wrong personnel.
Yeah,
like the wrong personnel.
That's not. Yeah, that's it's like trying to have, I don't know, Peter Crouch try to dribble like Messi. Not going to happen, dude.
Mm-mm.
So Peter Crouch, you put the ball on his head and he heads it in. Like, you don't have him dribble from the midfield. You have him go up as a target. It's I don't know if Collier's not used to that. I don't know if those are specific instructions for him, but it didn't work. It didn't work last night.
I think you alluded to it. He has skills, but he's more in the support role. Like, he's not used to being the center striker.
But wouldn't that go back to coaching? Also, Marcina kind of he should have reminded him, say, "Hey, I need you up front. Not going back, and I didn't really see him trying to correct that. And he just kind of let
But
Collier.
that's not something you're going to be able to correct in a game, in my opinion.
That's what I think is I think they kind of let him, hey, do what you know what to do, and we'll figure it out. And then you get the academy kid in there, you try to give him a certain specific instructions on, hey, this is kind of what we need to do. I will say that I know a lot of people were down on Beckford on this match. He didn't really show a lot. The reason he didn't show a lot was he didn't get space. Beckford is a lot like Gallegos. He needs space to dribble in and to create plays for. If he doesn't get that space, he's not going to do very well. He's going to get tackled off the ball. Gallegos constantly got tackled off the ball when he had no space. That's what happened to Beckford in this match. And the reason he didn't have space is because he didn't have a striker in front of him to occupy the center backs. So they would just queue on him and they take the ball from him. So Beckford didn't necessarily have a great game. It's good to see him back, but it wasn't a game he was ever going to succeed in. He needs a strike partner to take space for him so he can dribble through and he can create. He just wasn't able to create in this match.
Yeah. So you were making the comment about how San Antonio would clear it, but then Phoenix would come right back down. I won't lie to you. It almost felt like one of AJ's games, with the Surf Club, where they struggle on the attacking side. Defensively, they hold and hold, but if you're under that constant pressure, it's especially against an elite team like Phoenix,
on the crack.
That is a universal issue in soccer, period, is if you don't have an outlet and you're defensively stout, your defense is going to fail. You have to have that diversity. And if you don't have that diversity, if you're really good in the offense, you're going to give up a whole bunch of goals. Look at Barcelona right now. They're, not now, I guess, but a team that gives up a lot of goals. Let's go with Leeds United not under Jesse Marsh, but under Bielsa. Yeah, Bielsa. Look at them under Bielsa. Was really good offensively, no real idea of what you're doing defensively, and they'd score 2 or 3 goals, but they'd give up 4 or 5. And that's the problem with that. You're not diverse in your play. San Antonio is a defense first, and then we'll go attack later. Well, if you don't have that counter attack and you're just defending, you're not setting yourself up for success.
So let's get into the match highlights here. And there is going to be a question I'm going to ask you, Rafa, because I'm not the only one that's asked this.
But there's also an element of,
so of course the kickoff here.
Have certain opponents that seem mindless with Louisville City, on Orlando and Cincinnati as well. This header on net and big save early by Jordan Farr. First big test of the night for Jordan Farr.
So Rafa, your thoughts as a goalkeeper on how Jordan was able to read this play?
No, he read that. He pretty much read that the whole way, even on this play too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This was a hell of a save here.
Puts it on goal.
If he doesn't get save of the week, I don't know what to do. I mean, he's got.
That was upper 90.
I mean, the one thing about Jordan is he's really he reacts fast to the ball, and that's why he makes those great saves. And like I said, we could have lost the game 4-5-0 without those saves there.
My only knock, if I had to, it's not a huge criticism, is just a couple of extra rebounds were given up.
But that's going to be my question, and I know we touched about it in the game.
If they had a criticism, it's minor. Don't get me wrong, but like as a goalie, you're always told, if possible, to parry the ball away, and it almost seemed like that parry.
Where
one time when he punched it, when he could have. It looked like maybe
on that first goal, where do you want him to parry it? Where else do you want him to parry it? He parried it along the baseline instead of out. So he parried it properly, but the center back, look right there. Look at Manley. What is Manley doing?
Well,
they didn't. They all gave up. Yeah, they didn't.
They're all ball watching.
Yeah, they're ball watching.
These people are ball watching. You can already see
for sure.
45 is Manley's guy
already
right there.
moving.
That's Manley's guy.
That's what you're supposed to do. Send the ball out and away, but it's the responsibility of right there with the defender.
Yeah,
you need to cut it. You need to cut off the space from getting that ball.
45 is already stepping toward the ball. He knows what's about to happen.
Oh yeah,
Manly
he's got
hasn't even reacted to what 45 is doing, and that's
Well,
the
Garcia
problem.
isn't. To me, Garcia is the closest one. Just on.
That's not Garcia's responsibility. That post isn't. That post is not. He almost reacts to it, but that's not his man. It's another one of those. The Blippy back here. It's another one of those things where the guy that is closest to the ball when it's scored is not necessarily the guy responsible for the play happening.
Mm-hmm.
That is all day. That's Manly's guy right there. That's his post. That's his responsibility. And even I mean, if you look, Fabian and Mitch are pointing, and they're saying, "Hey, who has this guy?" That's Manly's guy, and that's why Manly there has that look of crap. I just
he didn't follow him. Yeah, he didn't follow him.
And I will say, for anybody that's from Phoenix or anybody outside the league, we apologize for trash being thrown on the field. That's not a good look.
Yeah,
from what I've heard, it was a bunch of kids, so that doesn't make it excusable. But
yeah,
it's not
reported
great
it on our side here.
Yeah, exactly. We basically in our section, we're 2 sections away from where that happened.
Over,
everybody was pretty much pointing. It was those kids, and they were looking to get them out of the stadium as soon as possible. So, not a good look.
Not a great look at all.
Sorry for everybody that watched that. It's stupid. It shouldn't have happened. It was kids. Kids are gonna kids. I'm not trying to excuse it,
Still unacceptable.
but everybody did kind of was told them get those people out of here. So sorry.
Speaking of the 4 of us,
on that play with Jordan, I think he could have done maybe a better job as far as just pushing the ball.
Rafa.
Well, being a goalkeeper, coming from a goalkeeper perspective, but then he could have pushed the ball where he pushed it was towards the angle there. Maybe if he
pushed it outside, there you go. That's exactly.
I think that could have give him enough time to come up because he's there. He's a sitting duck there. So you can't really blame him as far as being down, but in knowing that he sees that guy there, you can't send the ball to that direction. If he sends it parallel or across the line, now you have you cut that angle off for the shot. So he could have maybe done a little better on that, but like I said, that was still a great save there. But like I said, also the responsibility of your defenders to cut him off and not allow him to shoot the ball while you're on the ground. It's also the defenses, has to take part of the blame too.
What do you think Manly? Okay, so Manly went for a block initially, so that's why he's in the bad position.
And when you freeze it and circle it, look how many defenders are around him. There's 5 defenders and just him.
Yeah, and I mean, also you have Gomez just kind of flat-footed as well on the outside there. No, but it's Manly's guy. He's got to react a little bit faster. At the same time, if he noticed right before the ball gets to Jordan, which is why this is such a dangerous shot, it bounces up right before it gets to him, and that's why instead of pairing it perfectly, it bounces, and that's why it shoots up. Is it does the hit the ground, hit the wall, and go up, and that's why it comes off at that angle. But at the same time, it's the defense needs to react. And look, Jordan's already up. He's in a good position. His hands are out. It's just A, it's a good shot, and B, the defender's got to get there quicker. It's on the center backs, that one. I don't put blame on Jordan on that.
So do you for Manly, because it looks like what put him out of position was trying to block it from 3-4 feet away? Is that where he is that where he made his error? Or
no, his error was just reacting slowly to not getting back where the ball is and help his goalkeeper out. That's where his error is.
And that's a tough angle to score on too. On that one, it was just a lucky shot. Now there,
Save again by far.
Just great reaction by him there.
You almost see where on the goal he was trying to catch it, like let the hop throw him off. Because the way he's angling his hands, he's not almost like intentionally parrying it. You'd usually not crooked like that.
You guys on the bunker side, I know I did see some of his saves. I know he was punching some of those balls out. Was he having trouble pushing them like a high and away
Joey Farrell.
on those.
I think he had I think on one of them, one where he went out, it almost looked like he thought there was going to be like some kind of pressure, like contact, but then it ended up not being. So he could have maybe caught that
And
one.
again,
So
that was
it
Joey
just seemed like an
Farrell left
indecisive
forward on the
decision.
header, and he put it
And he didn't get a
directly
good punch on it either. It didn't go far.
Mm.
I did catch that one, but outside of that, I mean, I didn't see anything else that I could say.
Looking at this, I really blame
That was just great reaction right there.
Mhm.
Covering his post. So
getting followed up by Phoenix to score the goal. I don't blame
right there, our defense just fell asleep there.
the
We got called ball watching again.
Yeah, and I think that Hurst, although
So here comes the second goal. Epps comes on,
was very active, running at players.
and then the next highlights the last goal here. So here,
Nice slide tackle by Tanner, although it lands back to Epps, who keeps it in.
I don't think the ball ever crosses out.
Driving in on Garcia. He's got a runner and Moar joining him. Epps puts it into the back of the
Yeah,
net
that's
to
a-
seal the
that's a
3
tough angle
points
to get beat
tonight
at, too.
here at Toyota Field for Phoenix.
See, the defender there really never challenged him. He let him go
To
deep
seal.
into to the attacking third there.
He's
That's where he needs to step up right there,
Epps,
right here coming up.
tackle by
Look,
Tanner,
he's
He's dribbling the
he's
ball.
stopped right there.
Once,
He assumed that it was out of bounds. Yeah.
right there, once he got close to him, he should have attacked him right away instead of giving that
Yeah.
little space. And that little second gave Epps the shot there, but Jordan was caught off, also not covering his near post. I think he was worried about the cross.
He was
still-
cheating. He was cheating for the cross because the Phoenix guy was all by himself until he enters a 6-yard box. That's when Manley finally catches up and takes him. But before that, Jordan has a Phoenix Rising player all by himself coming at him, and Epps with the ball coming at him. It's tough, but the first thing you need to cover is your near post. So,
Yeah.
and he
That's
got
the
caught
one
in
thing they
between.
preach.
Yeah,
They never get beat near post.
you know, you can't pin that one on Jordan. That was bad defending. You know, this is like the 3Ds: deny, delay, destroy. He didn't really deny any space there to destroy that play.
And that was
So-
into the game. They were probably gassed.
I will say this. When you look at the stats, you know, and I know one of the friends of the podcast, I forgot his name right now, mentioned San Antonio didn't have any possession. San Antonio had possession for basically 45.9% according to the USL stats, you know, rising at 54.1. Distribution, both teams didn't pass very well because I think the midfield was pretty choppy, especially in the first half. Both teams, you know, SAFC was at 65.6 on passing accuracy. Rising was 66.1. The crossing accuracies, you know, 20% to 21.7. The difference comes into the attack, and this is where, you know, Royce was talking about. Rising had 21 shots compared to 5. We had 2 on target, I think 1 in each half. Rising had 9, 8 block shots, 10 shots outside the box, 11 shots inside the box there. Defensively, you know, like I said here, to me it was, you know, we had 31 clearances, you know, that go into just, you know, how, you know, just how much the defense was under attack. Jordan Farr, I think, had 6 saves, which was the most that we've had so far, you know, as a goalkeeper. That's one thing I will say, you know, from Bonilla to Farr, not a drop as far as in skill and talent for that here. They play a little bit different. The goalkeeper's been a strength. The back line's been attacked. But until San Antonio gets the attacking midfield and above back together, you know, we saw this happen against RGV. We escaped against a team like RGV. But if you step back and just take shots like that against an elite team like Phoenix Rising, at some point they're going to make you pay. But, you know, to me, the stats-wise, you know, like I said here, they showed an even game, but it was one of those games where if you're at the match or if you're watching the match, it did not feel even. It felt very one-sided on that here. So We'll go to you, Robert. Your recollection of the game overall, as far as final thoughts on the San Antonio Phoenix game, before we move on to quickly discuss the World Cup draw here for Qatar 22.
Yeah, I think the big thing you nailed it is that the quality of chances, like you said, it was a disparaging difference in terms of attacking quality. And then the big thing, I mean, we keep harping on the injuries and depth and getting fresh legs out there when, some guys are winded or banged up. It's just players are going to start playing through knocks and maybe not perform, to their best ability. So hopefully Spurs Sports Entertainment has a plan that either they're keeping from us or the latter, that they may be mismanaging the situation. I'm praying that they have something that they're keeping behind the scenes or they're working stuff actively. We just don't know about it until it's final. But that's the big thing is, just taking it in stride, continuing to, I guess, work, on getting those attacking players healthy. And my nervousness is with that Tuesday game. I was like, they traditionally play a ton of academy kids. Who do you have left? What are your options? You're essentially going to roll out a similar lineup, maybe with a few guys here and there. But are you going to even have a fresh 11 to play? That's going to be interesting. But
your thoughts, Rafa?
Just like I said, I know it's not the time to hit the panic button, but also I think front office needs to realize, we need to build a little bit more depth because we don't have it. Last year we did. We were able to survive last year's injuries, and we were able to manage because we did have a lot of depth on the squad. The only change we did was in July when we had to fix the defense, which right now that's our strength. Right now we're probably gonna have to do what do we need to do to fix our offense, get some attack, just enough to buy time for our guys to get healthy, and it's not going to hurt us towards the end having that depth up front, just like I said, there was some, like when Patino went down, who stepped up, it was Nathan that stepped up. So same thing in the beginning of the season when Dylan was out, Patino did the same. So I think they need to sign a couple of more attacking players with some experience. I think that'll help just to kind of weather the storm. And then once our guys get back healthy and go, I think we'll be back on track. And I think, like I said, when we go to Phoenix, it's going to be a different result when we go play over there with a full squad.
You know who I think they should call? Toronto, Jordan Peruzza. Have him come in short term like he did last year for that here. Yeah. Royce, your final thoughts on the SAFC match?
Let's go Ted Lasso with goldfish brain. Man, get healthy. That's it. You need some offensive outlet. We need some attacking talent. I think in Tuesday's match, you're going to see all of the academy kids that are on the roster get a run out to see what they got. And possibly some that aren't. We're pretty banged up. As far as we know, I mean, let's count them. You have Patino that's out, Mane that's out, Loera is going to be out, PC's out, Juice's probably going to be out. That's 5 right there. That's a quarter of your roster right there. That's already out. Dylan was out, so that's 6. That's rough. Traore might be out because he was getting beat up all over the place with absolutely no calls except for his yellow card, of course. That's a lot of guys. But we'll see. We should win that match Tuesday either way. But, hey, we'll see.
And don't be surprised if San Antonio announces that they're bringing in some players specifically for Open Cup, because as long as they're not cup tied to another team, that's a completely separate roster. And I know they've done that previously where they'll bring in some young kids, give them a shot, give them some time for that here, especially early on. Now, the next round, you're going to see a little bit more senior team most likely, but this one coming up on Tuesday will be a heavily academy reserves. I'd expect Matt to get some time between the pipes. For that here, that's a good opportunity, assuming that he is healthy along those lines, or even the academy goalkeeper that they signed, was it Jude? I think it is. his name.
Yeah,
The beast.
Jude. Yeah, Jude is the goalkeeper. And then you have Kai, who's a midfielder. You have can't think of his first name, but Imbula is also
Willow.
a midfielder. Willow, there you go. And obviously Holt's probably going to be the center midfielder.
With Kamari.
Ray's probably going to play. I think
Do what?
Kamari.
you got to throw him in there already.
I don't
He's
know.
probably
I
on the
think they'll throw him into. I don't know if he'll get time in the Open Cup, but I know. No. I know. Sorry, my dog's looking at me like, "Let me out, let me out." No. I was going to say Holt's going to be the center back. We'll see who lines up next to him. I think Taintor kind of ran himself into the ground. Manley might get some time, and then we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't even want to speculate because it's going to be random.
It's going to be a heavily rotated lineup. So
yeah.
Just to touch base on USL Championship results here. New Mexico and Oakland drew midweek. I think I want to say it was 2-2 in New Mexico. Last night, Sacramento beat Monterey Bay 2-1. Oakland Roots tied the Rowdy 0-0 in Oakland. Just trying to see Western.
It was 2-2 on Wednesday.
Yeah, 2-2. Switchbacks, still perfect on the season. They're going to be a tough team this year. 2-1 at Miami that they won. At Galaxy drew 1-1. Vegas on Friday beat Charleston, and they've got a young kid that looks to be pretty special.
Yeah, Machete, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Jennings is not bad either.
He's tearing it up. Another 2-goal night for him, which is what third in a row.
Leading the golden boot. Boot. Yep.
Wait till LAFC gives him a call up, but
and I know it's super early in the season, but SAFC, despite the loss,
comfortable,
still third in the division.
We're still 3-1 despite everything we talked about. We're still 3-1. That's what we got to remember.
Yeah, which
sometimes.
shows the potential of this team is a top team in this league. They just need to get freaking healthy.
Good.
Here's my only concern on it here.
Here's Panic Harry. Here, now we turn to Panic Harry for more. Panic Harry.
No, the big difference this year is head-to-head matters, and that's what that's something that you got to keep your mind on. For next week, they go out to Orange County, so it'll be another tough road match on that here. But no, it's early, but early games matter. I hate that mentality that people say, "Hey, it's April. It doesn't really matter." Well, it does matter, especially this year. If if San Antonio is able to get it here, because they play Phoenix, next month, almost a month from now. In Phoenix here, even if they win that, but if they only win it by 1 goal, they lose the tiebreaker. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit different this year compared to last year where it was total wins. Tiebreakers between the clubs and goal differences between the clubs could matter when it comes to playoff seeding. If we are tied. The last topic here, kind of a fun one here for it here. We all have a team in the draw here. The World Cup draw. So United States is in Group B with England, Iran, the United States, and the winner of Ukraine, Scotland, or Wales. I still question on whether Ukraine, unfortunately, is going to be able to play due to what's going on in world events. But like I said here, Scotland or Wales, both solid teams. Mexico's in a group: Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland. Canada got Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia, and Costa Rica. Where are they at? Costa Rica, assuming they get the playoff win against New Zealand, they would be in Group E Spain,
gosh.
Germany, and Japan. So
That
Forget about
yeah,
Good,
That's a tough one.
good luck with
there's
that
your
one.
group of 10. Yeah,
if,
buddy.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
if it's Costa Rica, but
Oh boy.
Rafa, since we'll start with you. Mexico. It seems like Mexico, Argentina is kind of like U.S. and Ghana, although U.S. was able to avoid that this year here. But your thoughts on Group C for Mexico?
Hand of God, baby.
I think we can advance. It'll be tough, but the history of the last World Cups, Mexico was in Germany's group. They beat Germany. They tied Brazil in the last one, and they beat France on the previous one. So they'll find a way to step it up. With the big teams. Like I said, Argentina is going to be the favorite in that group. If some way somehow we can win that group, we could see. Who knows? A second round USA Mexico. I mean, not actually it's a second. I mean, try to avoid France. That's the thing. That's the whole goal for Group C because I don't think Argentina will want to play France. I think
nobody
France,
wants to play France.
they're just a little too stacked. But I think we'll be all right. Well, the key is winning against Saudi Arabia and Poland. If we can win those two games, we'll move on to the next round.
Well, you play Poland first, which Poland is a very good team in my opinion.
Lewandowski. I mean, if you shut him down, they really don't have anything else. So you're going to have to build a game plan to really keep them from really touching the ball and make someone else try to beat you. And that's the way how Poland, everything runs through him. If he doesn't have a good day, they're not going to win. So that's the game plan for that. Like I said, I don't think they should have problems with Saudi Arabia. But like I said, Argentina is the big one. And if you can get a tie out of that one or a win, hey, that'd be great. So
I'll push back a little bit on Saudi Arabia. I know they're not the host country, but from my understanding, it's a driving distance from there here. So they're gonna have a home fieldish feel to it on there here. The other thing here with Mexico, I don't know if it was announced, but I heard it on here that Coach Tata is still going to be coach through the World Cup here. You're okay with that, or were you hoping for a change?
I was hoping for a change because they need to fix. There's something. Like I said, it worked in the beginning. It's not the same team when he took over. When they were playing great, they're winning a bunch of games. Something's missing, and I don't know if the players just have given up on him and maybe need to bring somebody else. I'm probably asking, well, who do you bring in? Well, there's a couple good names out there. Like the one I would like to see is Santiago Solari. I think he can really kind of turn some things around with that group of players, and the thing what they need is to add some of the younger players, some hungry players. I think we have some players that are just too complacent, and they're already kind of stuck on their horse. Like, no one's going to take my spot. I think we need to kind of, add some competition there, add some fuel to the fire. That way, they get on it and not be complacent. So we'll see what happens. I know originally Mexico was supposed to play Argentina on a friendly, but I think that more likely that's going to change because they are also going to play friendly against Brazil. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mexico plays like Uruguay or Chile as a warm-up to replace that game.
Royce, your thoughts on the United States group? England, Iran, USA, Wales, or Scotland, in my opinion, for that here. Ukraine's still in it, but for me personally, I have a hard time seeing them even playing it in June personally. But
right. I can't comment on Group C. Mexico is going to have a real tough time in that group. Saudi Arabia is they've actually allowed, what was it? Are they the Asian champions, Saudi Arabia? No, they're not the Asian. Was it Qatar that's the Asian champions? One of those teams is the Asian
Qatar's
champion.
then automatically.
Right. One of them won the Asia Cup, though. That's what I'm saying. Is either Qatar or Saudi Arabia won the Asian Cup.
It was Tunisia who I think.
No, that was the Arab Cup.
Okay. I think it was Korea. Was it Korea?
No.
Asia
Cup.
I don't think it was Australia.
Winners. No, it's not. Hold on. I know, doing some production right now. This is great. We're having fun. We're doing great. Yeah, it was Qatar. Qatar won the Asian Cup. So Qatar is it's actually a really good team. Given they have some Brazilian players that are miraculously Qatarian. No, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has their last. I heard a stat. It was like in their last 15 matches, and they've played decent competition. They haven't just played, lower opponents. Saudi Arabia in the last 15 matches has only given up like 4 or 5 goals. So defensively, they're stout. They don't have any attack, but they're stout. So they could play for a draw against some of these teams and surprise you. Poland, I think Poland with Lewandowski, that's a very tough draw for Mexico, especially with their lack of talent in center back and defense in general. They're going to have a real tough time with Lewandowski. He's going to have a heyday against Mexico. And Argentina's Argentina. I saw this matchup a couple years ago, Mexico versus Argentina in the Alamo Dome, and Lautaro Martinez had a first-half hat trick, so that's going to be real tough for Mexico. As far as Group B is concerned, it's going to be tough for the U.S., whether Wales or Scotland or Ukraine. I personally think it's probably going to be, unfortunately, Wales that goes through, although I would love to see England versus Scotland. Oh, my God, in the World Cup. That would be incredible, an incredible match, Scotland versus England. And I still hope for it, but I think Wales is going to make it. So I think it's going to be Wales, the U.S., Iran, and England. Wales does some stuff that is really going to trouble the U.S. With Bale. They have a really strong midfield. It's going to be tough for the U.S. England's going to be tough for the U.S., but I think that's a better matchup for the U.S. than Wales. And Iran, I don't want to overlook Iran, but I'm going to overlook Iran.
They're going to be pumped up too, because
that's correct. Well, I mean, to be fair, if it was Iranian government officials on their team, then they'd be super pumped up. But it's the Iranian people. It's one of those stories. Yeah. Iranian people like the U.S. They like a lot of stuff that's American.
How do they manage
the government
with the Netherlands? Because that's probably what, if the U.S. does advance, they're probably going to play the Netherlands in the second round.
And I think the U.S. matches up really well against the Netherlands. The Netherlands they're not what they used to be. Honestly, they are not what they used to be. It would not surprise me if they don't get out of that group. To be completely honest with you, the Netherlands
Senegal's the one to watch in Group A.
Senegal's going to be very interesting, and Qatar is going to be very interesting in that group. We'll see how they do.
They're athletic, super athletic teams.
Yeah.
Robert, your thoughts on the draw here? You're open to anything because we got our U.S. with Royce, or Mexico with Rafa, with Rafa. So you can pick any team as your host country.
Oh, the U.S. is the team I root for, and like you're saying, Iran is such a wild card. You just never know what's going to come out of those particular regions.
Iran is solid. This is a solid group.
But how do they translate when they actually play or higher level at competition? Like sometimes they do really well, and some of those teams just completely flame out and end up being like a doormat to some degree. But England's a good matchup for me because I mean traditionally their home base puts such pressure on the team that they tend to underperform, and then they start to consume themselves as they start to fail. They don't do traditionally well in the World Cup from what I've seen in my experiences. I mean, in Scotland and Wales, I mean, both of those play that, European style, like large, they have bigger bodies, then it's just a totally different style of play than Central and South America. That's why when Mexico goes to Poland, the biggest thing I always find is that how some of those South American and Central American teams struggle against the European style because of the size. It's just such a different game where they're trying to cross it and head it. There's less individual skill. It's more of a systematic setup. I mean, Germany is a classic example. Their biggest thing is cross it, and they have that one striker that everyone says has a garbage skill set, but he's putting 10 goals in, 12 goals in. Like Miroslav Klose and Oliver Bierhoff are some examples that from the past where they do amazing in the World Cup, and they're nothing on their club teams because they're in a system where it doesn't translate. But
The
then
new
scoring.
the new German squad is definitely a counterattacking setup,
Yeah,
where
it's
they're
different, but-
defense first, and then you have Havertz and you have Werner with their speed just go and just wreak havoc on a counterattack, and also they're going to have Serge Gnabry as well. They're going to be a real tough team, and they're going to be very similar to how San Antonio FC sets up, and their kind of defensive setup, and then they're just going to be speed and chaos going forward.
They were in a little bit of disarray. Yeah,
That's gonna be a tough group for Japan and Costa or whoever,
that's it.
Australia or Costa Rica, whoever comes out of that.
It's probably going to be Spain.
Yeah,
Even Japan is tough too. Japan plays good in the World Cup. They
They
traditionally
typically-
give a lot of
they
teams tough time.
typically do. But I was gonna piggyback on what you said about England. They're always in their head, no matter where they're at. They're always in their head. When we played against them in 2010, and Robert Green had that incredible, embarrassing moment, they're always in their head. The 2018 World Cup was tailor-made for them to go to the final and win, and they couldn't even get past an old, kind of broken down and inferior Croatian team, and they got played off the pitch by that team, and it was basically Luka Modric by himself conducting the midfield and just destroying all the midfielders in England. So then they decided to completely change all the midfielders in England, and now they have a young core. And they've gotten, they did really well in the Euros, but that doesn't necessarily, being really good in last year's Euros doesn't necessarily translate into being good for this World Cup. Looking at you, Italy.
I was
So
gonna say,
it
didn't work out so well for Italy.
So we'll see what England does. A big thing to look for in England, who their starting goalkeeper is. As an Evertonian fan, it pains me to say this, Jordan Pickford is just not reliable, but he's also been the England number one for the last few years. And he's definitely a player that really gets in his head. And same thing with Harry Kane, another player that really gets in his head. Harry Maguire, another player who really gets in his head and underperforms. So, man, England are a real crapshoot as far as
Sterling and Rashford too.
yeah, as far as who shows up. They may not show up. Scotland's going to be tough. They're always play tough, and that's just because they have that killer's mentality. All of them, all the players on Scotland, they're not necessarily the most talented, but they're killers in their own mind, which is dangerous. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Iran. I'm interested to see how they show up. If they're going to show up like Algeria, or if they're going to show up like a Slovakia. Also relating to the 2010 World Cup. In the U.S., same thing. We'll see who's healthy. We'll see how they show up. But I think I'm not expecting a lot from the U.S. in this World Cup. I think it's going to be a learning experience for the players because of how young they are. They are going to be the youngest.
Yeah.
They are going to be the youngest squad in the World Cup. This is going to be leading to 2026. Get this experience now. See what you can do now. Let's go out there. Let's show them what we have. Let's build till 2026. And that's kind of what Berhalter. I hate how they chose Berhalter. I think the whole thing was shambolic, but I think he's the right guy in the right spot. And that's just because he got all of these kids, and he's been the first coach to actually just trust all kids. I mean, the last three coaches were real reluctant to bring in kids. And now you have Berhalter playing kids, having them mesh as a squad at the point of being 18. So then in 2026, when they're 8 years older, when they're in their mid 20s, then they're really going to be a solid squad going into that, and they're going to be well versed, and it's going to be a really good team. So
the U.S. depth is impressive too.
It was a crapshoot. Who do you go? Do you keep him for 2026, or do you find somebody else?
Who knows? We'll see. It depends on how the players play, and the whole thing is if he can keep the room. That's really what it depends on. His tactics are his tactics. It's a 4-3-3. Everybody knows what's going on. It's pretty straightforward. They're really good at it. It depends on how he can keep the locker room. That's the big thing. The players love him. If he maintains that, then yeah, keep him till 2026. If it's going to be a consistent thing that continues to build on, that's what it's going to come. That's what's going to come out of it. Is if if he keeps the locker room.
So my final comments on the World Cup draw is, number one, I'm excited to see who the new stars are going to be. But number two, this is going to be the last World Cup for Messi, last World Cup for Ronaldo, last World Cup for Robert Lewandowski,
Lewandowski
for the here. So Memo Ochoa most likely final World Cup for him.
Yeah.
So it's always great. It's always great to see the rotation of players, at a World Cup, where obviously, Messi and Ronaldo, the GOATs, depending on through here. There's also rumors this may be the last of Neymar as well as far as World Cup.
It's also going to be the last World Cup for Thomas Mueller, could break the record for most goals by a player at the World Cup. So he could pass up Klose.
But then you got young stars like Jonathan David from Canada. I'm interested to see.
Mbappe's still young, but he's arrived a long time ago.
And to me, I don't think it's going to be Pulisic that stands up. I'm wondering who's going to step up as far as to be the next American star, because, and like I said here, whether it's Reina, I think he has the potential to be. Pulisic's pushed the mantle forward for U.S. men's national team players as far as marketing going on to big clubs. I think Gio Reyna has the opportunity to even take it a step further with his creativity if he's healthy.
It still boggles my mind that Gio Reyna is 19. It still boggles my mind how much I've seen him and how much I know of him playing and how good he is. He's 19. It's
wild. Until they do a close-up of him, you don't realize it.
Yeah,
how young he looks.
Honestly, until he shaved his head, and I'm like, oh yeah, he is just a kid still. We'll see who the striker ends up being. I think that has a potential to be for the U.S. That has a potential to take off someone's career. Whether that's Pepe or whether that's Ferreira, we'll see. I think it's going to be a big World Cup for Yunus Musa. Honestly, I think a lot of people are going to have eyes on him that, they know of him, but I think it's going to be a real coming out party for him.
That's what I love about the U.S. now. So much depth. Like in the past, there was like maybe 11, 12 players. As soon as two people got hurt, you're like, oh gosh, doom and gloom.
Yep.
They're bringing some random guys.
Dempsey Donovan hurt. What are we going to do?
Now there's so many. Yeah, now there's so many. Like they come off the bench and there's little or no drop off. It's just
the roster
and the depth is amazing.
Now, I don't even know. The rosters are going to be extended.
I think 26 instead of 23, right?
No, they're for this one here, yeah.
I think the U.S. may have an advantage because they have a lot of MLS players. MLS finishes a few weeks before the start of the World Cup, and then the players that are playing in Europe or any other domestic leagues, they only have 1 week for as far as preparation. So. Right. You're not going to have many, normal, 2-3 game pre-games before the World Cup. You might not even get a game in between because of that. So I think that's going to be a big factor. Who's fresh, who's not hurt, because, especially European teams, you're playing Champions League, you're playing your domestic cups, you're playing 2 games a week, and then now you're going to add this right away. This could make a difference on whoever has the best depth and who's coming in fresh is probably going to, do a lot of damage in this tournament.
Final thoughts. We'll start with you, Robert. As far as your final thoughts for the week, this is a 2-match week. Tuesday against the Feeders and U.S. Open Cup. It's only going to be the east side that's open. So if you need to get tickets, go to SAFC. It's limited compared to normal. For that here, and keep in mind this is an Open Cup match that there is no draws. So if it's over, I do believe they're still going to play the 30 minutes of extra time. If it's still tied, it could go to PK. So it's a win in advance, no draws for that here. And then next Saturday, SAFC is away at Orange County. Robert, your final thoughts?
I'd say on the Kickers game, the big thing is please don't lose. Please don't lose. I don't know if I could take a little bit. I guess they're a good team, but it's still a couple steps below. So I mean, just don't lose and then stay healthy. Like anyone that goes out there, no unnecessary injuries in a game that, isn't part of, the normal season. That would definitely be devastating. Just stay healthy, win the game, and then to get ready for OC. I mean, OC is no joke at home. I mean, that's going to be a tough one. So, like I said, get as healthy as possible. Hopefully, we can get some guys off the injury list and, get some points out of that game in OC.
Your final thoughts there, Royce?
Dude, it was so damn cool seeing Jasper Kamiri in a freaking San Antonio FC kit, even though he didn't get any field time. It was so cool seeing him back. At the same time, get healthy. Dynamite drop in. No, just get healthy. Open Cup, considering the injuries right now, Open Cup really doesn't matter all that much. So don't get hurt there. Get healthy, and we have what's the next match? Who do we play away?
Orange County.
Orange County. Oh, Bubba. Yeah, that's gonna be tough, especially with the injuries. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Get healthy, and hopefully Dylan and God, hopefully we get guys back because we need them. Let's get healthy. Let's get that Space Jam special drink or whatever, and everybody get healthy and get some power and go on to the next one.
And the egg and
go on to the next one.
We're do whatever you got to do.
we're still third place in the division. Yes, it was a bad loss, but for a lot of stretches of that, we were in a really good position to do exactly.
If it's
what
a healthy
we do.
squad, I don't think we lose that game.
No, I agree, and that's the big thing. That's the plus. But we got to get healthy. That's the big thing. Get healthy.
Rafa, your final thoughts, if you want to plug what's going to be happening this week here as well, with whatever your final thought is.
Well, final thoughts is we need to get healthy. So any curanderos there in San Antonio.
Yes. There you go.
See and get them, rub that egg or whatever, do the little rattlesnake thing like in La Bamba or something. So you need to get healthy. So, and also final thought, like I said, Wednesday we have our show, the high school roundup. We just had the regional quarterfinals. We're there actually Friday night. We're at me and Coach Cano did the live stream for the Reagan Spencer Valley game, so we're going to talk. We'll talk about that. Great game. Great to see that we finally got that. We're over the hump on those Austin teams, so we stuck it to them this year. I know there's still a couple of them left, but like I said, just congrats to the Reagan boys and girls, O'Connor girls, the Brennan girls, the Bernie Champion girls, the both Bernie High and Bernie boys teams that advancing to the regional. So make us proud. Like I said, now we have a lot of opportunities to bring some. Maybe we'll bring 8 titles back to the San Antonio area. So good luck to them.
So my final thoughts. Number one, I want to say thank you to Owen Evans from GoPHNX.com from coming on Friday to preview the Phoenix Rising, and then I also talked to him pre and post match, at Toyota Field. So thank you. Also, thank you to Monica McPherson, a huge San Antonio FC, or not San Antonio FC, huge Phoenix Rising fan. Basically, their Jenny Check for coming out. Got to say hello to her at the tailgate. Awesome to speak with her. And then, I'd be remiss. Unfortunately, last night there was unfortunately another shooting in Sacramento, where unfortunately at this point 6 have passed away and 10 others are injured. Just, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but, we don't know when our last days here. So make sure, you tell everybody you love each other and along those lines here. Just, craziness happens in this world. I know Royce had the Ukraine flag out previously here, but, just be careful. And like I said here, know your surroundings and stuff like that here. Just, it's an unfortunate, timeline that we live in right now. There's I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to that here for that, but just thoughts and prayers to the Sac Republic area and family along those lines here for that here. Go ahead, Royce.
I have one more thought. Sorry to
You're fine.
kill it. But credit where credit's due. The bunker was rocking last night.
Yes,
it looked really good. I know Susie, Rex, and I walked behind to go get Rex's snow cone because I guess the only snow cone place is over there behind the east stands. But it was rocking. It was loud. It was great. And at the same time, to answer Gamez's question, why were the camera lights on? They did that for the last playoff match. It's just something that it's a tradition. It's a cool thing for the crowd to interact with each other. And at the same time, obviously the wave was going on.
No wave, dude. No wave.
Apologies. I think that was our section. Sorry. It wasn't me. I'm not a proponent, but the wave was happening.
Number one, period, but especially if you're losing,
atmosphere.
No wave.
It was about
you need
atmosphere.
to straighten them out. You need to straighten that section out.
It was about atmosphere. The crowd wanted to bring the atmosphere. It's Fiesta in San Antonio. It's a party.
Yeah, you're right.
People wanted a party.
No wave. So come on, people.
That's it. But whatever. Calm down. Everybody wanted to have a good time. Yes, it was a loss, sure, but everybody wanted to have a good time, and everybody did. So the product, the San Antonio FC product at Toyota Field is really good. People just want to enjoy themselves, and that's it. But shout out to the supporters groups.
Yes.
It looked really good in the bunker.
I can tell Robert next time, like I said, when the goalkeeper from the opponents kick the ball instead of saying yell the word Fiesta. I think that'd be cool to say.
Yes.
Fiesta.
I say tacos. But did you notice in the U.S. against Mexico match in Mexico at Azteca that the PA announcer had to say Mexico because everybody was not saying Mexico and they didn't want to have another. That was genius, but at the same time, stop with the P word. Just stop. Come on, man.
Latino, what?
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Coach Cano, CJ Trevino, Matt, Robert, thanks everybody for tuning in. I know a couple of people talked to me at the tailgate, for that here the checks, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Who is it? Dennis Lamb. That said that they catch the show and listen to it as well. So, thank you guys for tuning in. The support means a lot. I know we're wrapping up on high school coverage, which then will turn our attention to Athenians and it's the Corinthians that are in PSL, I believe here. So we'll start turning the attention to them if they, start making some noise here for that here. We will probably also, heads up, have kind of an academy like we do annually after the high school season, before, over the summer here, try to put together another academy program just to kind of have that discussion on the status of academies here in San Antonio. And Royce is putting together some possible changes for SA Soccer Roundtable to kind of tease that out. That may be coming out a little bit later where, just like with here where we had a little bit more structure for the show, we're going to try to see if we can work on bringing a little bit more structure onto the podcast to make it a little bit easier instead of having everything crammed together like we used to. So Royce, Rafa, and Robert, do want to thank all of you for coming on, and especially Royce. I don't mind being the early mornings, but I'll tell you, when we get on, I'm like, man, why is Royce having us on here first thing on Sunday morning?
I've been up for a while. You can't tell by my voice, but
I've already been to Walmart.
We do it for the listener. We do it for the audience. We do it for the listener.
I've already been to Walmart and to H-E-B for groceries because last week I didn't go and
nice.
Kids complained there's no food. I'm like, we got food, but I got the point.
Yeah, exactly.
For that here. So, but what's life without goals? We're out of here. That way we can get out before 90 minutes. Appreciate it.